Hello, welcome to this tutorial on study of software architecture of applications. Before developing any application, it is important that an appropriate software architecture is chosen for it based on its purpose and its usage. Before we get started with this tutorial, I would like to inform you that this is going to be an interactive video wherein in between some questions will be asked to you. So you are requested to choose an appropriate text editor to write down the questions and the answers asked to you during the course of this video. So now let's get started. The software architecture of any application is always described using these two terms, that is layer and tier. Sometimes these terms are used interchangeably, but it is wrong. These two terms mean different things. Then we will study 1 tier, 2 tier, 3 tier and n tier architectures. Every architecture is having certain disadvantage because of which the next tier architecture is evolved. Java EE architecture is based on n-tier architecture. So we will be studying Java EE architecture under n-tier architecture. Starting with layer and tier. So a layer is a logical separation of a code. It describes code with respect to its functionalities, whereas tier is the physical separation of code. It consists of components of code responsible for carrying out the functionality of a layer. There can be one or more number of tiers present on a machine. Usually, there are three types of layers: presentation layer, business layer, and data access layer. Presentation layer consists of the look and feel of the application, that is, how the user input is to be taken, how the forms are to be designed, and how the results are to be presented to the user. Business layer consists of the actual application logic. It consists of the core functionalities of the application. And the last layer, that is data access layer, consists of the application data on which the application core functionalities are carried out and the results are presented to the user. The next is tiers. Corresponding to the three layers, we have three different types of tiers. The first one is the client tier, which corresponds to the presentation layer. On the client tier, we have HTML pages, applet, web browser, forms, and so on, the components that are responsible for the presentation of the application or for the user interface of the application. The next is the business tier, in which we have the code for carrying out the functionalities of the application, or for which we have the code for carrying out the core functionalities of the application. It consists of classes or Java beans in Java application. Java beans are nothing but Java classes that consist of properties and its appropriate getter-setter functions. Coming to the last tier, that is the database tier. Database tier consists of database. Database tier corresponds to the data access layer. Now, let us start with the study of different architectures, starting with the first one, that is one-tier architecture. In one-tier architecture, all the three layers, that is presentation layer, business layer, and data access layer, are present on one single machine. Now, pause this video for a minute and write down an example application of one-tier architecture. List down its advantages and disadvantages. MS Office is an example of one-tier architecture. The advantages of one-tier architecture is that it is simple and easy to implement, and the cost of implementation is very low. But this architecture has many disadvantages. First, sharing data is not possible. Second, it cannot support different types of clients. Third, it is not flexible for the changes to be automatically reflected on the machines that are using the application, if at all the business logic changes. Because of these disadvantages, two-tier architecture was evolved. Two-tier architecture is also commonly called as client-server architecture. In this, we have two machines. One is the client machine and the other is the database server. On the client machine, the presentation and the business layers are present, whereas on the database server, data access layer is present. Now pause this video for a minute and write down an example application of two-tier architecture. List down its advantages and disadvantages. An example application can be a Java Spring AWT application which is not connected to the internet and it is calculating the income tax of an organization based on the sales and purchase data stored on the database server. This architecture has the following advantages. Sharing of data is possible, but it has the following disadvantages. Since the application logic is on the client machine, the client is a thick client. It requires huge processing power. The second disadvantage is that it does not support different types of clients. And the third disadvantage is that if the application logic changes, then the application needs to be reinstalled on each and every client machine so that all the clients use the updated application. Because of these disadvantages, three-tier architecture was evolved. In three-tier architecture, the presentation layer is present on the client machine. The business layer, the application logic, is present on the web server or application server, and the data access layer, the database, is present on the database server. Now, pause this video for a minute and write down an example application of three-tier architecture. List down its advantages and disadvantages. Gmail can be an example application of three-tier architecture. The Gmail login page can be accessed by a mobile client, by a client using tablet, or by a client using a desktop machine through a web browser. The application logic of Gmail, such as sorting the emails, labeling the emails, searching for an email, is stored on the application server or web server, and the emails are stored on the database server. Three-tier architecture has the following advantages. First, the client is a thin client, that is, it does not require huge processing power because only the presentation layer is present on the client. Second, if there is some change in the application logic, then the application logic needs to be changed only on the application server, and through application server, all the connected clients will be able to access the updated application logic. Third, free-tier application is scalable. It means that if there is an increase in the processing load, or if the number of user requests increases, then it can be handled by upgrading the application server or database server, or it can also be handled by changing the application logic. But three-tier architecture has the following disadvantage. The performance of the application can be affected because the application server is responsible for carrying out the actual processing, and at the same time it is also handling the client requests and responses. To overcome these disadvantages, N-tier architecture was evolved. In N-tier architecture, the application server is broken down into two tiers such that one of the tiers is responsible for handling only the client requests and responses, whereas the other tier is responsible for carrying out the actual processing. In N-tier architecture, N represents the number of tiers, where N is greater than 3. Java EE architecture is based on N-tier architecture. Let us study the architecture of Java EE. It consists of 4 tiers. The tiers are client tier, running on the client machine, web tier, and business tier, running on the Java EE server, EIS tier, running on the database server. EIS stands for Enterprise Information System. Client tier consists of client components such as HTML pages for web clients and Java, Swing or AWT user interface for application client. Client tier looks after the presentation functionality of the application. Web tier consists of web components such as JSP pages and servlets. Web tier handles client requests and responses. Business tier consists of Java classes in which the actual business logic is coded. EIS tier consists of database. N-tier architecture has all the advantages of three-tier architecture. In addition to that, in N-tier architecture, a separate web tier looks after the user requests and responses, and business tier looks after the actual business logic. So that's all about software architecture of applications. Thank you.